Was there a sense of frustration that it took a while for this offense to get it going with the talent that you guys have?
No, not at all. No, not for me at least. I mean, this is what, the sixth game of the season. So it takes some. And now we're going to a little cold weather here. Boston has great pitching. Pittsburgh has good pitching. Great pitching actually. And it's gonna be a little weather there, but we're a competitor, we're grinders, and we just gotta continue to show up and play hard.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Marty Time TV. I am Marty Caswell. That is AJ Cassavell somewhere in Pittsburgh. We are brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. I apologize. I butchered the audio. That was Ramon Laureano. I was asking him at the end of the last homestand after the Giants series about concerns of the offense, and he reminded me, it's been like 7 games. It's only been 7 games. Back off. Calm down. They're going to figure it out. But thankfully, we have AJ Cassavell here because he was there on site when the Padres won their first series of the season. They've won 3 in a row. It's Nick Pivetta versus Paul Skenes. AJ Cassavell, how are you today?
I'm good. I love this city. I love this ballpark. It is cold outside. It is absolutely not baseball weather, but they're going to play a game in it anyway. And the Padres are going to try and hit Paul Skenes in 38 degrees, which doesn't sound all that fun, but as Ramon Laureano said, they're grinders. They'll figure out a way.
They're grinders. They're going to go ahead and figure out a way. I'm sure you're getting updates from your wife and from Carla, but it's like 70 degrees. And right now I am cold. I'm wearing shorts and flip-flops, but I'm cold in my 70 degrees. You mentioned the weather forecast, 38 degrees versus Paul Skenes. How much more difficult is it for a hitter to face a pitcher like that in cold weather? Does that make a difference whatsoever?
Yeah, I think it's more difficult. I don't know if it's specifically like at the plate. Obviously, if you get jammed, it's going to hurt, and so maybe that aspect of it is not as fun. I don't think it's that different though. I think like the ball carries when it's warmer out. So that's like that to me is the biggest thing. It's not going to be. It's nice out. It's sunny. It's like it's not going to be rainy like yesterday. There's not going to be grip issues. I think it'll be fine. I think it's just hard to hit Paul Skenes whenever you're facing Paul Skenes.
I would agree. And I'll mention this too, AJ, because we've spent so much time talking about lineup construction. I know you've written about this, that Craig Stammen has used like 10 different lineups. At the end of the last homestand, right, when you were walking out, I think he was joking. He said, "Hey, AJ, if you got a lineup, go ahead and send it to me." Did you expect the Padres lineup to be this much of a topic at this point in this season? Are they still, what is the difficulty in looking for the right fit? And who leads off versus Paul Skenes?
Probably Laureano. I think Craig has expressed the desire to stick with, to like try and maybe find something steadier. Did I expect the lineup to be such a hot topic of discussion? I think I expected that maybe in sometime in mid-March when Craig Stammen said, "Yeah, we're going to be flexible with this lineup. We're going to move guys around. We're going to do things differently. We're going to and that is such a stark departure from what Mike Schilt did, where Mike Schilt, I think there's probably like there's probably a middle somewhere where you have a lineup that is more set, but you're amenable to moving parts. Mike Schilt's lineups were very set, regardless of whether they're facing right or left, and maybe they tinkered at the bottom in the 7, 8, 9 spots. But you generally day-to-day knew exactly who was going to be hitting where, and so it became a topic of discussion as to why he was so inflexible. But if you have 2 years of that, and then you go to this, which is a different lineup every single day, I'm fine with a different lineup every single day if that gives you the best chance of winning the game. If the matchups dictate moving a guy up or moving a guy down, or this guy hits a certain pitcher, or this guy hits a certain pitch type, or his swing type works, change it up, because these guys don't. I think maybe last season there was a little too much deference to the players. This guy wants to hit here and needs to hit here, he's going to hit there. I don't think the Padres feel that way necessarily. I don't think these guys I don't think they mind moving around in the lineup. I think they get it. They have different skill sets against different pitching. So lineup's always an interesting. I love talking about the lineup. Here's the thing I say when I talk about the lineup, which is all the time because it's very interesting. It's something that we can all think about. It's not that important. In the grand scheme, the 9 hitters you have and how good they are is more important than the order you put them out there in. And so whether Jake Cronenworth's hitting 9th or 6th or wherever, the fact that you have Jake Cronenworth in the lineup and the lineup is as deep as it is and he's hitting ninth, and you're getting 2 hits apiece from Castellanos, Fermin, Cronenworth. It doesn't matter how you line those guys up if they're hitting. Now, you can win on the margins. I think, was it Saturday night, where it was a tie game in the 9th inning, and then you have Ramon Laureano and Fernando Tatis Jr. coming up, and they are the ones that start that rally. Like, yes, that's how you win games, by getting those guys extra at-bats. Like, you can win on the margins there. But the more important thing to winning games is just having good hitters. And to me, when I look at this lineup, the hitters are just better than they were last April. Like 7, 8, 9 today is going to be better than, I don't know what it was a year ago, but I know Jason Hayward, Yuli Gurriel, Martin Maldonado, Tyler Wade, Brandon Lockridge, all those guys were getting rotated through the lineup. And like some of them are decent, useful bench pieces, but this is just a much deeper lineup than it was.
You're giving me flashbacks to what we were talking about last season when it came to the Padres lineups and their solutions for left field. Does Laureano care where he hits? Does it matter?
No.
It seems so unusual for him to be. That's of all the guys we talked about in spring training, he was nowhere on my list. He wasn't on my list behind my list.
He was on my list. I made a list of possible leadoff hitters. And I had 4 guys, and I went back and added Ramon Laureano before I sent that live, and I'm feeling pretty good about that because, I mean, like, it makes sense. And I also think that maybe you fall into different lineup constructions against right-handed pitching and left-handed pitching, and maybe he hits. I think there's a lot of benefit to batting him 5th, too. Like, if he's – I personally would like to see Jackson Merrill 2nd against righties, or maybe even 1st, like, because his numbers are so good against right-handed pitching. Like, get him that extra matchup against the righty, or get the opposing manager to lift his pitcher earlier to go to a lefty. And if so, then you've got Tatis and Machado behind him. I like Merrill. Merrill 3 is fine because he's still getting a lot of at-bats, but personally, like, that's the one thing I would like to see is 2nd, maybe even 1st against right-handed pitching. Anyway, that's a little bit of a tangent. Laureano, I think, fits there against left-handed pitching, also against right-handed pitching. The quality of his at-bats is very good. He has the potential to do damage. He is no fun to face. And then maybe he's on base for Tatis. I do think there is something to hitting Tatis 2nd instead of 1st if you have someone like Laureano in front of him who can work a pitcher and who can be on second base when Tatis comes to the plate.
A lot of firsts on this road trip. I think, let's see, first hit for Luis Campusano, first home run for Manny Machado, first set of RBIs for Nick Castellanos. Where do you want to, of those 3 topics, where do you want to start first? Are we going to start to see more of Castellanos? I know he said that, this is a new situation from him, right? This is a guy that wanted to play every single day, didn't like being taken in the lineup, and now he's adjusting to more of a platoon role. How is he accepting that?
Yeah, of those 3, I think Castellanos is the most interesting because I don't think we've seen enough from Campusano to say like he's going to go on a hot streak at the plate. And I think we know that Manny Machado is as steady as they come, so he'll probably be just fine. Castellanos is the one that was kind of the wild card for me, and he's taken some really good at-bats. He's like turning around 100 miles an hour and then turning around a slider. And like you can make a case that he should be pretty much the everyday DH at this point. But I've been impressed kind of just with his willingness to accept the role. He's still, I think, like I talked to him a little bit last night, and he's still learning what to do. Like he needs to, in order to stay sharp at the plate, sometimes he needs to come back into the cage and take those at bats and be ready as a DH for like just to stay in the game. But he's never done that before because he's the kind of guy that likes to stand on the top step and like soak in all the nuances of the game, which also is helpful. So he told me he's still trying to find a balance between the two of like getting those reps, getting in the cage, being ready for that pinch hit at bat, while also mentally being in the game and into everything that's happening on the field. And if something happens with the pitcher he's about to face, he makes sure he sees that and understands that. And like when he describes all that, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That would be a hard thing to learn for a guy that has started every single day for the last 7 or 8 years.
Right.
So I think he's done it pretty well. Like his at bats have been pretty good the last couple days at least. And then I think like you can make a case right now, Castellanos regular DH, and then maybe Sheets and Duhar platoon right left. I know there's other factors here, and I like the idea of like Castellanos isn't. I think he has some limitations clearly defensively. So if he's playing first base ever, like he's gonna be out of there after 6 innings if you've got a lead. And Ty France is gonna be in the game, but he's he's proving to be a useful bench piece, like significantly better than what the Padres options were for that spot last season.
Okay, speaking of useful pieces, and I did not mean to go ahead and move away from the Padres offense this soon in the conversation, but we have a bit of a time crunch today. Ramon Marquez had a bounce back after a really disastrous first outing. I know there's a lot of conversation about him tipping his pitches. What did you see from Marquez in start number 2 for the Padres, and how, from what we saw yesterday, how does that maybe change the outlook of this rotation?
I'm hesitant to say it changes all that much because I'd need to see Marquez do it over a longer stretch of time. But what it tells me is that there's at least a chance like that it works, because his curveball, like when he's good, that his breaking ball is he's locating it and he's getting swings and miss with it. And he's a pretty savvy pitcher too. So he can like work his way in and out of trouble. And so he's not going to be an ace, but like, I think he has some of the qualities that you could look at and be like, oh, that's a pretty decent, useful number 5 starter. And then he went out and showed that last night. So I think that, like I've said all along, the Padres have Walker Buehler and German Marquez at the back of their rotation. If one of those guys becomes a reliable 4th or 5th option, like that is a win based on what they're paying those guys.
Yep.
It's a couple $1 million. If one of them falters and is out of the rotation by mid-May and never to be seen again, and the other one is having a quality season, Padres will absolutely take that because they're going to get Griffin Canning back. Matt Waldron has looked good at AAA. Eventually, they're going to get Joe Musgrove back. That's going, I know, slower than some people would like. But you didn't know what you were getting with those two guys, and I saw a lot of promise from Marquez last night. Just not like he's going to throw 5 shutout innings every game, but he can be that 5-6 innings, 2-3 runs, number 4, number 5 starter who has some savvy and can work his way out of trouble. Like if Padres get that, that's a big win with the German Marquez signing.
Right, and he owns the Pirates too, so you don't want to go ahead and
True.
discount too much his success against Pittsburgh. All right, there's a bunch of faces that could come back. I think probably more likely in San Diego. I know Jason Adams said his big test was, facing hitters in back-to-back games. He is eligible to come off tomorrow. Yuki Matsui could be right behind him. What is the plan for when those guys do come back?
I think we'll see Jason Adams this weekend.
Okay.
The Padres they might give him an extra, like if it's early next week because they want to give him an extra appearance or 2.
Mm-hmm.
So be it. Like they don't want to rush him back, and they want to kind of get him. They want to at least get him something resembling a spring training. So if it's not this weekend, I don't think that means necessarily there was a setback, but I think he could be back this weekend. And then that bullpen gets even better. Matsui is more of a wait and see because he only just started his rehab appearance or his rehab stint. They're going to give him some time to build up because like Jason Adams is better than Yuki Matsui. Like Jason Adams, I think could have made the opening day roster and he would have been extremely limited because he wouldn't be able to pitch back-to-back days for a little bit, and he wouldn't have been able to. And so, like, the Padres didn't want to necessarily pitch a reliever short, and I think we've seen with some of the short outings they've gotten from the back end of their rotation why that was smart. Because, like, if you pitch a reliever short, maybe you don't have the guys to cover Sunday when Walker Buehler goes 2 2/3. So, but I think just Jason Adams is so good and dominant that he could go out. He could have been there on opening day. They want to get him to a place where he's not holding back the bullpen because he's not available. He is almost at that place. With Matsui, I think it's a little different because you have to get him to that place. You have to get him to a place where he's fully ready to go back-to-backs, sometimes multiple innings, because otherwise he's not a good enough reliever to be in the bullpen. He's not like what Jason Adams is. He's a lower leverage guy whose value is in pitching in games like yesterday where they have a 5-run lead, or in holding the deficit intact when they're down by 3 or 4, and going multiple innings and facing lefties. Like his value is in doing a whole lot of different things, which could take some time to build him up. So I don't know, maybe end of April, maybe middle of April, but not nearly as soon as Jason Adams, I think.
What's the best situation for Wandy Peralta?
He just gets better than what he's been. Like he was pretty good down the stretch last season. And I know there's been a lot of talk about his splits, and Craig Stammen's used him in a lot of left-on-left situations. I kind of I lean towards Stammen on this one because I am a big believer in, like, if you have reverse splits, like that's not telling you you necessarily have reverse splits. That's just saying your sample size probably isn't big enough. Like eventually the splits left on left will be better. He's got to be better than what he is. And I think like there's a case you could make for Kyle Hart being the number 2 lefty in the bullpen. Now the difference there is that Kyle Hart is extremely valuable covering those 2 2/3 innings after Walker Buehler goes out early. So like kind of different roles for those guys. And you'd want Wandy Peralta as like the shorter burst guy to be better, to be that leverage guy instead of Kyle Hart. I think what we saw from Wandy Peralta at stretches last season is that there are times where it doesn't look very good. And he has done it long enough where he can figure it out and go back to getting those ground balls and ground ball spots and being a 3.9 ERA guy who's your second most used left-handed option and maybe not in the biggest spots of the game, but medium leverage. I've seen Wandy Peralta enough to know that it can be like this, but I think he generally does a decent job of pulling out of it when it's bad.
I guess I was trying to ask, like, how much do the Padres trust Wandy Peralta in high leverage situations? But the good news
not much right now.
No.
But they have so many guys that they don't need him. So they were staying away from Morejon the other day. So on days when Adrian Morejon's available, maybe Wandy Peralta will be used in higher leverage than I think some fans, and probably if you gave the Padres truth serum like they would like, on days when Morejon's not available. He was not available on Sunday. Given that information after the game, it kind of made sense. He just got hit by a couple lefties, and he's got to be better. But he has shown an ability to get out of it. So I think the Padres would like to avoid using him in those big leverage spots. But when Adrian Morejon's not available, he's the lefty you've got.
Who do you think would be the odd man out when Adam does come with the guys that have options and don't have options? Is it Marinaccio? What are we talking about when it comes to Jason Adam being activated?
Yeah, I guess we'll see. Could be Marinaccio. Could be it could be one of those things that depends on who just pitched 3 innings the day before, because the whole Padres, like the strength of this bullpen is, I think, clearly, well, Mason Miller and Adrian Morejon and Estrada are awesome, but Mason Miller is unbelievable. But they can do things like they did yesterday, where they can bring Marinaccio and Morgan in and be like, we're going to keep this at 0, and we're not going to use our high leverage arms, and we're going to attack on a run or 2 and be just fine. And as a result, now we can win the game tonight. I think that's the way they think about why this bullpen is so good, because they have depth guys like that. Like Ron Marinaccio might be the odd man out here. He would be a medium leverage, could even be a leverage option in some other bullpens in baseball. There's some bad bullpens in baseball. And the Padres, like Bradley Rodriguez, could be a setup man. Could be a setup man somewhere else, and he's pitching relatively low leverage. Got a big spot on Sunday, came through in it, proved that he can do that. That's why this bullpen is as good as it is. Not just because they have Mason Miller, it's because they're as deep as they are.
We're all in this business because we love sports or we happen to love baseball. How much fun? How much are you looking forward to watching Paul Skenes Pavetta in Pittsburgh? I can't wait to watch this game.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to Paul Skenes, Jackson Merrill, because when Merrill was like at his peak in 2024, that was when the Padres played the Pirates, and both series Skenes just didn't line up. And I talked to Merrill a little bit about it yesterday, and he said, he was like, yeah, I was happy we weren't facing Skenes. We were trying to make the playoffs, and I saw the schedule, and it was like guys that like weren't as good as Paul Skenes. So like that's that. If that helps, then that's what I wanted. He has to face them tonight, and I think I think that Rookie of the Year race was awesome. I know some Padre fans are like still bitter about it. I think it's fairer to be bitter. Like the Padres haven't won a Rookie of the Year since 1987. They have the longest drought in the majors.
Benito Santiago.
Wow. Khalil Green should have won in 2004. Jake Cronenworth should have won in 2020. I'm not going to go as far to say Jackson Merrill should have won. I think maybe if I had a vote, I didn't have a vote that year. I think maybe if I had a vote, I probably would have voted for Jackson Merrill. But like, how can you like Paul Skenes at a 1.96 ERA in 23 starts? That's insane.
I know.
I know. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with Paul Skenes winning. The ones I'm annoyed about are Jake Cronenworth and Khalil Green, because they were clearly the best rookies those seasons and didn't win those. So anyway, that was the best Rookie of the Year race I think we've seen in at least a decade. And now they get to face each other tonight. So that's the real matchup that I'm looking forward to. And the other part of it is like they both clearly like respect the hell out of one another. Because when you ask both of them during that Rookie of the Year race, and when I asked Jackson Merrill yesterday, they're like, yeah, like that guy's awesome. Like I don't mind losing to him. Like he's awesome. And
Right.
that's good. It's good for baseball. Like there's two really kind of young, fun superstars.
That'll be fun to watch. I was going to ask you about Connor Griffin, but I'll go ahead and leave that conversation, man. It's just crazy. 19 years old, and just think that was Jackson Merrill a couple years ago. Tatis before that, but Connor Griffin looks like he's 30 years old, by the way. When you watch him play and when you listen to him talk, he just looks a lot older than he actually is. How is the beer scene? How is the beer scene in Boston, and how is it in Pittsburgh? When I was there, it was like Yangling, right? That's the local beer in Pittsburgh, or do I have that wrong?
Yeah, Yingling's. I love Yingling, but Yingling's like I went to college at Penn State, so it's like. That was like
growing
the
up
cheap beer
drinking
we
Bud
drank
Light.
in college. It was
Yeah.
Well, it's better, but better than Bud Light. But it's
Yes.
it's like the substitute. It's like $8 pitchers in college. So that was I have not had a Yingling yet. It's not like I come back here and I get like all nostalgic for Yingling and I need to get Yingling. The beer's been good. Lamplighter in Boston, if you're ever there, that's good stuff. Went to their brewery on Saturday night. It was really nice to have. It was really nice to have 3 virtual day games in Boston.
Right.
Like it was, I think 2:00, 4:00, 1:00. So I have some friends that have moved from San Diego to Boston, 2 of my good friends, and so got to see them there and drank some Lamplighter. That was my go-to there. And then here, I had a beer called what was it? Dinosaurs in Space. Hazy, very good. The beer in both cities, very good beer cities. So this trip is like
You're having a good
aside
time.
from the travel,
Yeah.
like the ballparks are freaking awesome.
Beautiful. I know.
Fenway and PNC, and it's like you're getting everything you need to get out of ballpark because you're getting like the old school awesome Fenway field, and then you get the new school view of the city, the river. Like those are two top 5, maybe top 3 ballparks.
Wow.
And they're different enough, so that's awesome. Both cities are great to like walk around or go for a run in, and then the beer in both cities is very good, and the baseball has been entertaining. So good first road trip.
You're nailing like all the important things that you want when you go to I'm seriously, when you go on a road trip, beer, baseball, and the running scene. Now you may or may not run. You are dedicated. You make it out there all the time. I don't know how you do it.
And the coffee is important too. That's my like those are my like in a road city. I want a good ballpark, a good place to run, good coffee, and good beer. And yeah, can't complain here. Although Pittsburgh, the coffee around the ballpark, which is where I'm staying, there's some other places I would have liked to have gotten to, but not leaving this area when the ballpark's like right over there. So
with such a coffee nerd that you are, I'm actually surprised that you don't you don't travel with your own coffee press. I have family members that do that, so I thought that you would fall in that category.
I only have so much space in my carry-on bag. I'm not checking a bag. And if I'm going to a different city, I'll get it.
Yeah. By the way,
get something new.
Speaking of coffee, is Joe's throwing, right?
Yes, Joe is playing catch. He's played catch a number of times. There's no plan for him to get on a mound anytime soon. Like I don't know when that would be.
Okay.
They're not. I think we're going to learn because everyone's so interested in when Joe's going to be back. I just think that the Padres want to temper like if they get 15, 20 good starts from Joe Musgrove and he's looking like Joe Musgrove in September, like that's the goal here, not for him to be pitching on May 1st. So I don't know when it's going to be that he gets off a mound. I don't know exactly what the hurdles are. I think his arm needs to like get to a point like he was placed on the IL with elbow inflammation. So clearly like spring training pushed him a little too fast in the recovery, but they're confident that he's going to be back at some point. And why push it now? Because I don't think they think they're going to, they're not going to, if Joe Musgrove is going 25 starts in the season and 5 more starts in October, which is what they would hope he would get in October, he's not going to be good at the end. He's going to be like history tells us that like pitchers coming back from a Tommy John surgery don't last like that. So 20 starts, a few in the playoffs, pitching well down the stretch. That's a great season for the Padres and Joe Musgrove, and that's what they're hoping for still.
Okay. Hope so. My last question has nothing to do with baseball whatsoever. Shocking. But it's the 50-year anniversary of Star Wars. What is your favorite of all That entire collection, the trilogy, prequel, all that stuff. Best Star Wars movie.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not a Star Wars guy. The best movie, the third one? Not the third, not the first trilogy. Like the third. What would be
the original
sixth one?
What?
Yeah, the original third one.
So Return of the Jedi.
Well, I don't remember them. Return of the Jedi. It's
Empire
been a while,
Strikes Back.
Marty.
You think you know someone? I've sat next to you in a press box for I don't know how many years, and you tell
Well, here's the thing: Star Wars is not. It's not like I'm like anti-Star Wars. It's just that as a kid, for whatever reason, and I was into all sorts of like nerdy kind of stuff that would indicate that I would have loved Star Wars, but I never watched it. Like just for whatever reason. And then like I think like when you're like 24, like you're not gonna go back and really get into Star Wars. It's like I loved Harry Potter. I read all those books like 8 times. I don't think if I hadn't read Harry Potter by the time I was like 24, I'm not gonna read it and all of a sudden love it. But it holds a special place in my heart because I did at the time.
You can, yeah.
You can
do it. You can read Harry Potter when you're 24 because the books are so well written.
I think you can read Harry Potter. I did read Harry during the pandemic. I reread them all again, and it was still excellent. I wouldn't have fallen in love with it the way that I did. But Star Wars is a thing that like Star Wars is a thing that's like everyone tells me like you would like Star Wars. And I'm like absolutely I would. But it's like F1. Everyone tells me I would love F1 too. Like only so many hours in the day, only so many things that I can geek out about. It's like F1 to me is like, yes, I know I would like it. That's the reason I'm not watching it is because I don't need another thing. I already have too many. I got a baseball team to focus on and cover all the time. I don't need like another thing to distract me from that when I'm already up all hours in the morning watching soccer.
See, now I'm mad. I wish I left more time for this conversation because, a couple of years ago when the Padres had like their Star Wars promotions, right? I'm asking Jackson Merrill, what's your favorite? And he liked like Phantom Menace because he's from the new generation. He's never seen
No. Those ones aren't those.
Trash.
That's the other thing.
Absolute trash.
I think like those were coming out and I watched those and I was like, no, they're not, yeah, those were coming out when I was a kid. And that's what that was my maybe I don't know. I don't remember the order I saw them in, but I didn't see them until I was a teenager and just never got into it.
I won't let my nephew watch them because they're that bad. I don't want him to know about those. They're terrible.
Don't let them exist.
AJ Cassavell, you're the best. Thank you for doing this. Have a safe trip back to San Diego. I'll see you for that Rocky series, and we'll continue the conversation. Harry Potter versus Star Wars Thursday in the press box when the Rockies come in. So don't forget. I think you can get away with pretend those movies don't exist because that's what I do with like season 7 of Parks and Rec and season 6 of Lost. If you just pretend that those don't exist and that the series ended there, okay.
Freaking great ending. Great endings to both. And if you can just ignore the fact that they made an extra season of both, that's all the better.
Like the final season of Game of Thrones. Didn't happen.
Yeah, but that's a little different. That's a little different because there's no resolution. Then there's no ending. You don't know what happens. Like Lost could have ended after season 5 and everyone would have been like, whoa, that was wild. That was a crazy ending. And then they made another season and none of it made sense.
Okay. All right, AJ.
Anyway.
You're the best. Thanks for doing this. Have a safe trip. Talk to you soon. That is AJ Cassavell. I am Marty Caswell.
Marty.
We are brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. We will talk to you next week. See ya.
I think it's high. I think that we have a lot of talented people. I think we have, some Hall of Famers in here and some perennial All-Stars. And now I think that it's just us coming together, finding our identity as an offense, and showing up with intent every day to win each game. And I think step one for this group is to win the games that we're supposed to win. That's what good teams do.